everybody, welcome to another lesson of Learning Japanese. Today we're going to go over another grammar pattern, and the one that we have in store for today is using basically the te form of a verb plus the phrasing aru to express the idea that that verb word that you're using right there, it's been performed and it has left something, an object or something, in a resultant state that is ongoing to the present time in which you're saying the sentence, basically. So since that was a pretty confusing explanation, let's just throw you an example of the grammar pattern right off the bat. What if we had the sentence "Hon ga tojite aru"? This is going to translate to basically the book is kept in bound form or something along those lines. It's kept binded. And so the reason that it translates to that is because we are using the verb tojiru here, which is going to mean basically to bind. We're putting it into the te form and we're using it with aru to form this grammar pattern. So as opposed to mean to bind, it's going to mean an object has received the action of that verb, to bind, tojiru, and it's kept in a state, a resultant state from that action, and it's still in that state even now when I'm talking and saying it. So hon ga tojite aru is going to mean the book is in a bound form, is kept in a bound form. Or if we wanted to literally convey the nuance here, the book was binded and now it's still binded, basically. So hey, this grammar pattern actually sounds pretty familiar to some other grammar patterns you might be thinking. The te form of a verb plus iru to mean the verb is into resultant state based on the verb action that you use with the grammar pattern, or maybe the te form of a verb plus oku to mean to do something ahead of time. And it is indeed pretty similar to these ones, but it has its own nuance and its own pretty predominant function. The main reason you would use this as opposed to the other grammar patterns. For the actual differences between those other two grammar patterns, we'll probably make a separate video on that, so stay tuned for that. For today's lesson, let's jump into the reasons why this grammar pattern even exists, basically. So we're going to be using this grammar pattern when we basically want to express an intention or a preparation, or actually just like an intention to prepare something, basically. As with the example sentence that we just threw at you about the book being in its bounded form or binded and kept in that form, you can probably assume that it was done for a particular reason. Someone did that, kept it in bound form because they wanted to preserve it or something, or keep it a part of their collection and not let it get damaged. So they did that with an intention, or they did it they prepared it ahead of time so that something else could happen or something else wouldn't happen. So yeah, the key point of this grammar pattern is you're expressing an intention. You're trying to describe an intention, and you can use this grammar pattern when you're describing your own actions. I did something to prepare for something else. Or you can even use it to describe other people's actions, even if you don't even know who the other person who did the action is. As long as you know that the intention is there, that's kind of the key point here. So the focus in this grammar pattern is that the object received the action is in that state, and we don't really care that much about the person or the entity that actually performed the action, and you can see that reflected in the actual grammar construction. Because this grammar pattern has some actual rules to it, you can only use transitive verbs with it, and that might be making you scratch your head a little bit here. Because if we're not really stating who did the action, because we don't really care about that, and we only need the object, the direct object, basically the thing that the action is being performed upon, some particle, the verb in its te form plus the phrase aru, how come we aren't using the direct object marker o with the direct object? Why are we using the particle ga like in the first example? Hon ga tojite aru. Why is the ga being used there when the hon is actually the direct object? The reason behind that is, well, like I said, this grammar pattern kind of focuses on the actual object that the action was performed on as opposed to the thing performing the action. If you want a technical reason, it's probably because in this grammar pattern, the verb action is considered to have basically been done already. It's been completed, such as the example of the hon. It was already bounded, and now we're just describing it in its resultant state that is ongoing to now. It's still in that state, but we're not really saying the action is happening right now. It's not being bound right now. It already was. So for that reason, you'll see this grammar pattern being used most commonly with the particles wa or ga or even mo to mean already. However, there are cases in which the direct object o will still be qualified to be used, and you'll see it being used as opposed to the ones I just mentioned. So I actually think that's enough background information, context with the grammar pattern now. I think we can go ahead and jump into some example sentences and really get an intuitive idea of how it works here. So for our first example sentence, we'll go with the pretty easy one. We'll say something like ryori ga sukutte aru. And this will translate to basically the food has been made already. So if we break down the sentence word by word, it's really short. It's only like 4 words. We got the direct object, the ryori, the food. So it's the thing that's receiving the action. But here we're going to mark it with the particle ga because, like I just explained, this grammar pattern is predominantly used with ga and wa instead of o. Then we're going to insert our verb here. Our verb is going to be the verb sukuru, which means to make basically. And it's going to be in its te form, so sukutte. With that te form, all we need to do now is plug on that aru at the end of it, and it forms this grammar pattern. Te form verb plus aru to mean to do that verb has been done in advance or with intention to leave something in its current state. So that itself right there, ryori ga sukutte aru, can be a whole complete sentence. It translates to the food has been made. Here we see that we're really just combining this grammar pattern with the noun ryori, which means food. So the grammar pattern here expresses that there was an intention behind doing this verb on the object and leaving that object in the resultant state. So obviously the context behind the sentence would probably be like, oh, someone made dinner ahead of time, or someone made a meal ahead of time because they won't have the time to do it later, or they know someone's coming and they made the food for them, or something like that, right? So there's the intention right there. We made it ahead of time because we needed to, and then we left it in that state because we want the food to remain being made when the person gets home and they need to eat it, or when you need to eat it. So we leave it there in that state, and it's still in that state when I'm describing it now. So now I'm just describing it, it's been made, so now we can eat it, or so it's ready to be eaten. For our next example sentence, we're going to use this grammar pattern in the past form because it may be a little bit confusing how the past tense works with this grammar pattern, since the example that we just did, which was the easiest one, it was still kind of translated with a past tense in it. The food has been made. That implies that the action already occurred in the past. So if we used arimashita or atta instead of aru, how would that make it even more past tense? Well, let's see with this next example sentence. So for our line, we'll have something like suke wa mo haratte arimashita. So this line right here is going to be pretty short. It's just as short as the first one pretty much, but it is a bit more difficult to comprehend. Our first word that appears is just the word suge, which is commonly used to refer to like a bill at a restaurant or something like that. We have the particle wa right there marking it as we would with this grammar pattern, even though it's the direct object. We have the particle mo right after that to mean already. Then we're going to have our grammar pattern using the verb harao, which means to pay a bill basically. So it turns into its te form, haratte. Then arimashita is the past polite form of aru. So it's just the past tense, but in a polite sense. So then suke wa mo haratte arimashita is going to translate to basically the bill had already been paid. Then in parentheses you might say something like in advance to express the intention, nuance of the grammar pattern. And so yeah, you should see how everything's working here. We got the intention, somebody paid the bill in advance, and of course that was intentional because maybe someone was treating you out or something like that. And the state that action left the bill in, being paid, of course continues on into the present time, and I'm describing it now and it's still paid. The only tricky thing here is why are we using arimashita instead of aru to make this into the past tense, when if we used aru it would kind of sound like the past tense too. If we used aru, the translation would have been something like the bill has already been paid, and that's still describing the paid action in the past tense. Here we're using arimashita, so it turns into, as opposed to has already been paid, it would be something like had already been paid, so the past tense form of has, and this would be like you're recounting the incident. So the speaker here is no longer in the same time period as when they finished eating dinner and they found out that the bill is already paid. It's like the day after and they're recalling the incident, and so it's the past tense of the incident as well as the past tense of the paying nested in that incident. For our next example sentence, we're also going to try to cover something that is a unique case of sorts. It's also going to be a pretty short and simple line though. We'll have the line oven o atatamete aru, and this will translate to basically the oven is being preheated. So let's break this down real quick. Of course, we just start off with the katakana word obun, which is going to translate to, of course, oven. Here, this example is a bit unique because we're using the particle o instead of owa or ga, which is kind of the rare case, as I said, in the context of this grammar pattern. as I said when we were covering the background information of this grammar pattern. And then we have our verb word as part of the grammar pattern, atatameru, which is going to mean to warm. It's a transitive verb here, so to make something warm as opposed to warm up yourself. And of course it's in its te form, atatamete, then the aru. So then oven o atatamete aru is going to be basically the oven is being preheated. So I want to say that this is a particularly good example to convey why you would use the direct object marker o as opposed to wa or ga. It's because since this here is kind of indicative that the action is still being performed actually. You kind of get that sense because when you preheat an oven, and you basically already set it to the temperature or whatever and it starts preheating, then you wait some time and you skip to the current time when you're speaking the sentence, the oven has, you could say the oven has been preheated, as in it's reached the temperature it needs to be for your actual cooking, not the pre-cooking. But when you say that, the dial would usually still be on the preheating mode. So even though the action has been completed, it's still kind of being performed. And so in that case, it would actually be pretty reasonable to use the O because the action is still ongoing. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to our last example sentence that we'll do for this video lesson. And I'm not sure if this one has like a unique case to exhibit or something. I think we're just gonna go back to regular usage of this grammar pattern. So for our last one, we'll at least make it a like compound sentence. Let's do something like パーティーの準備がしてあるから早く来ても大丈夫ですよ. And what we'll translate to this line right here is basically the preparations for the party have already been made or done, so it's fine if you come early or you get here early. So let's break down this sentence word by word. First up, we just have the word party, which is going to translate to party. It's a katakana word right there. It's going to be part of a noun modification. So it's the first noun. The second one is going to be junbi, which is going to translate to basically preparations. So party no junbi is going to be, you know, preparing for the party or the preparations for the party. This noun of a noun modification is going to be the object that we're going to use with the grammar pattern here. So it's a direct object, but of course it's rarely marked with a direct object marker O. So we're going to use the particle ga. Then we have the verb suru. This is just a standard verb word basically that means to do. Junbi suru is a common verbal noun, so it makes sense that we're using suru here with junbi. But of course we need to conjugate into its te form, which is super easy. It just turns into shite. And with it being in its te form, we can now just plug in the aru, so shite aru. Then we want to provide this as the reason for something, so we're going to include the conjunction kara to mean because. So because party no junbi ga shite aru kara, so because the preparations for the parties have been made or are already done. Hayaku kite mo daijoubu desu yo. Even if you get here early, it's okay. So hayaku is the adverb. We're turning the adjective hayai, which means fast or early, into an adverb with the grammar pattern of turning it into an adverb by dropping that final e and adding the ku. So hayai turns into hayaku. It is describing an action because it's an adverb, and that action is the verb kuru, which means to come. We're going to conjugate into its te form because we want to use it in the other grammar pattern. That means basically it's alright if you do this verb. So te form plus wa or mo is okay, daijoubu, or i, good, fine, whatever. So kuru turns into kite, then we have the mo. So kite mo is like even if you come early, daijoubu, and that's going to mean okay or it's okay. Then we end it with the copula des and the sentencing particle yo, just to add a little explanatory emphasis there. So it was the first clause of that sentence that had our grammar pattern in there, so it was the important part. So it was, once again, party no junbi ga shite aru. And so you should be getting a feel of how the grammar pattern is working here, what function it's playing here. We want an intention. Of course, the party's preparation was done intentionally because we needed to have it done. Doing it left the preparations in a resultant state, which was being completed basically, and that resultant state continued on to the present when I'm telling you this. It's done, it's still done, I finished it and it's still done, and because of that, even if you come early, it's okay. So yeah, that's the breakdown for our last example sentence there. We are going to do a separate video for the difference between this grammar pattern and the te-iru grammar pattern, as well as the te-oku grammar pattern. But just to give you a kind of short explanation as to why, the te-iru, if we had used it in this sentence, te-iru has basically two functions. It's only one of the functions that is resemblant to this grammar pattern here. If we use suru with the te-iru grammar pattern, it would have been shite-iru, which is ongoing action, which isn't the function that is similar to this grammar pattern. But hypothetically, if it was a verb that expressed the resultant state as opposed to an ongoing action, well, it would have just translated to something like, the preparation for the party is complete, and it would have been just kind of a blunt, matter-of-fact saying of that. But if you use it with the grammar pattern that we used it with, the one that this video is topicked after, it would have implied that I did it in preparation intentionally. So because I did it intentionally ahead of time, it's fine if you come over, as opposed to just matter-of-factly, oh, it's done, so you can just come over. As for the difference with the te-oku grammar pattern, the te-oku grammar pattern is more focused on the future. So you do something in preparation still, so there's like intention there too, but the preparation is for something in the future that isn't relevant to now. So if we did the preparations for the party with te-oku, junbi shite-oku, this would be like I prepared for the party because doing so is going to help me in the future, as opposed to right now where the grammar pattern of this video is making it relevant to now. Because I finished it already, you can come over early now. But if we use te-oku, it would be like it's going to help me do something in the future, like, oh, I don't have time to tomorrow, so I did it now and it will help me tomorrow. But yeah, we'll go more in depth with the video that explains the difference among the three. So thanks for watching this time around, of course, and see you next time. Okay, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoyed your time doing so. If you'd like to express that, you can like the video, leave a comment below, or subscribe if you haven't already. If you'd like to support more of these video lessons, please do consider checking out our Patreon page. Also included on the screen right now are, of course, a bunch of links on where to find and follow us elsewhere online. Lastly, check out our Discord server. We've got a community of hundreds of, so if you're looking for somebody to voice chat with just to practice speaking Japanese, or if you just want to talk about anime or music or manga. And with that, see you next time.